Do you think your ancestor stories are in the shadows?
That's a really great question, and it was actually a really great video about the tendency for stories of our ancestors to be lost, either hidden or we don't share them. And if that information that we find out about our ancestors, for instance, this is my grandfather and his younger brother, my great uncle. If you don't find out about those things or share them with other people, they may be lost forever. So one thing that I always do, for instance, for this branch of the family, I created a book including not just the research that I'd done. We had a smaller version of this chart, but also some of the genealogy documents that I discovered along the way and might help to explain the story. For instance, this is a death certificate from one branch of that family. It's important to distribute this information. Some people use, for instance, social media or email, but I think actually printing something out and sharing it with them is a really good idea to do this. And in this particular case, I created a book with photos. This picture actually was on the front cover of the book with photos, stories, and other information. Made like 10 copies of them and distributed them as widely as I could to cousins, even distant cousins I don't know that well, because even if five of those books are lost, the other 5 may end up being passed down and preserving those stories for all time. The other question that this raises is like, well, what's a good way to go about figuring out the stories of ancestors? So certainly getting the basic information, like when people were born, where they came from, their names, the places where they were married, things like that. That's certainly important, but also identifying those stories, digging up the information, might be from older relatives, might be from letters, might be from some official document, and then kind of making copies of those, organizing them right. Actually, one of our customers, they have a really good idea. They basically create a binder like this of all the family information, plus they include some original photos in each one, and then they give them to all the grandchildren. So the grandchildren will have copies of certain photos, plus some original ones, plus copies of important documents that explain the story. So that's one way to do it. I think it's relatively easy. And of course, doing things like sharing things on social media, that's fine. Another thing you can do is you can make a really fine, framed genealogy document and give that as a gift. Put it in your wall, make your own descendants, let them know that this is an heirloom and it's very important, and hopefully that will be preserved for the generations that follow.